I've created this video here as a review of periodic properties for the periodic table. I think you guys need additional practice with this before we take our test in 2 weeks over the standard. The quiz grades were not where they needed to be, and so I'm recommending that you watch this video here as a little bit of review because this is information you need to know. My objective for you in this video here is that you can explain two properties that the periodic table are organized around. You can also explain the difference between physical and chemical properties. The last goal of tonight's lesson here is that you can explain the difference between metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. We've covered all this material in the last week here. You should already have notes on it, but go ahead and review this. I'll provide a review guide for you to go with it. We're going to retest over this material. To begin with, metals. Most of the periodic table is metals, and they generally are a shiny silver or copper color or metallic in some way or another. Okay, some exceptions to that silver color are going to be obviously gold and copper, but there are other metals that don't quite have that silver color to them. States of matter. Most metals are solid. Mercury is the exception at room temperature. It's a liquid. All metals conduct electricity. All metals conduct heat. There is some variation in how much they conduct, and that's why we use some metals for providing electricity to our house rather than others. Okay, copper is a really good conductor of electricity. Something like aluminum might not be as good of a conductor. Metals are all malleable in one way or another. Okay, you can reshape them by hammering or pressing. It's just a matter of how much effort is needed. Some metals are magnetic. It's not required, though, to be a metal. In fact, there's only two that are naturally occurring as magnetic metals on the periodic table. Other metals, you can induce a magnetic current in them through a variety of means. If you look at our periodic table, they're colored blue, and they're on the left side of the periodic table. Nonmetals, on the other hand, their color depends on the element, but in general, their color is going to be dull. Okay, they are generally not shiny nonmetals. Their state of matter can be a solid, liquid, or gas. They do not conduct electricity. They do not conduct electricity. They do not conduct heat. Nonmetals are all non-malleable, and most of them are brittle. You can find some exceptions to that, like carbon. There are two forms that you might be familiar with. Graphite, which is a brittle non-metal that you find in pencils. And then there's diamonds, which is also made from carbon, which is a very hard material. Nonmetals are non-magnetic, and they are colored yellow and gold on the periodic table. Metalloids is the last category that you'll see on the periodic table, and they can have properties of both metals and nonmetals. It depends on what form or state they're in, on which properties they have. But if you go through a set of properties for an unknown and you see properties that are non-metal properties and you see properties that are metal properties, you're dealing with a metalloid. They're colored green on the periodic table, and they separate the metals from the non-metals in a stair-step fashion. Our next topic here is over physical and chemical properties. Physical properties are properties that can be observed or measured without changing the material. This is the color, shape, state of matter, temperature, conductivity of electricity or heat, malleability, magnetism, density, anything that you can test or observe without changing it. Okay? Chemical properties, on the other hand, are properties that tell whether an element reacts or won't react with something. This changes the material you are looking at if it reacts. Examples include combustion of gasoline, reaction of zinc with hydrochloric acid, and formation of rust on iron with oxygen. If you look back over what we defined as a metal, nonmetal, or metalloid, you'll see that all the properties listed are physical properties. Chemical properties depend on the individual element. You will see that within a column of the periodic table, elements that tend to be in the same column tend to have similar chemical properties. And we're going to get into that more down the line here, but it has to do with the electrons that they have. Okay, so for example, the alkali metals, column 1A on the periodic table, are all metals, and they all react with water. And as you move down that table, they react more vigorously with the water. Cesium was the last one we observed in the video, where it exploded. On the other side of the table, you've got the halogens in column 7A. These are nonmetals that all react with aluminum metal. And depending on where they are in that column, it tells you how much they're going to react. All of them do react with aluminum, though. The last part here is general trends on the periodic table. And so these are patterns that you can observe. The first one is atomic number increases as you move across the row. All right, we've known that since before we started this chapter. The next set of properties that are a pattern on the periodic table is that metals are located on the left side of the table, nonmetals are located on the right side of the table, and metalloids separate the metals and the nonmetals. The last one that we've gone over so far as trends on the periodic table and patterns are that families or columns of the periodic table tend to have similar chemical properties. We're not done with trends on the periodic table. You're going to get more over the course of this chapter, but you should know these after today. You will be tested on them again this week. I hope the video is useful in reviewing the material. We're going to retake that quiz that you took the other day, hopefully for a higher grade. The expectation is you're going to watch this video, you're going to fill out the note guide, which you'll be graded on, and then we'll retake the quiz. The due date for this video is going to be on Wednesday, so 2/13 of this week. You've got a couple days to watch it.